Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltways, Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing Along the Beltway Podcast Network. Thank you so much for joining us as you do each and every week as we get ready for some big events coming up in the next couple of days, actually, and some big things coming up for us in the Beltway. So we're going to recap what took place last week in Philadelphia, because we congratulate once again Franchon Cruz-Dezurn for winning the WBC Super Middleweight Championship. We talked about that in a special podcast last week, but there was some big action coming up. That was big action that took place, I should say, on Friday, September 14th in Philadelphia. We'll talk about that as well, and we'll preview both the cards that will take place on Saturday, September 22nd in Springfiel, Virginia, and in Bowie, Maryland. And then we'll talk about a game changer that could come to D.C. very soon as well. We'll talk about that as well. Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything in between. Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, when you have great jewelry that she's selling on her site, DeborahSpears.com. First purchase is 20% off. And of course, she also has a book where you can talk about great weight loss tips. You don't have to diet. You can eat real food along the way. That's on Deborah, Debra Spears.com. And I'd like to tell our listeners, if you go on the blog, boxonthebeltway.blogspot.com, and you go down to the Best Buy logo on the right-hand side of the blog. We have joined the Best Buy affiliate program, and you can click on Beltway on Best Buy or on the boxonthebeltway.blogspot.com, make a purchase based on that blog. Then we get a little bit of money based on that as well. So hopefully you can support Beltway Boxing and support Boxing on the Beltway, I should say, by going to Best Buy and make a purchase off the Boxing on the Beltway blog. And you can support the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network by subscribing to it on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, TuneIn, also Stitcher.com, and the Google Podcast app. Now, if you want to hear our podcasts live as they happen, the best way, in fact, I think the only way to do it is to go on Spreaker.com. If you subscribe on Spreaker.com, you hear everything we do live on Spreaker.com on the podcast network. So everything else, you got to wait a day or so until they put them up on their websites. But everything we have is archived, so you have we have a little over 200 hours worth of podcasts that we have done, and you can listen to all of that for free. So once again, subscribe to the podcast network, Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. If you want to hear everything live, Spreaker.com. Otherwise, you can subscribe by Stitcher.com, iHeartRadio.com, TuneIn, and the Google Podcast app. And of course, you can always find me on Twitter at Digital25. Big weekend for the Beltway this past weekend. Of course, like I said, Thursday night was a huge night with Franchon Cruz-Dezurn winning her title. But we also had 3 Beltway boxers that were on a card at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on September 14th. Now, 2 of the 3 bouts turned out to be victories for Beltway boxers, but the big loss came in the biggest bout of the night. And that was David Grayton out of Washington, D.C., the welterweight. He dropped a 10-round unanimous decision to undefeated Terrell Tiger Williams of Los Angeles, California. Now, of course, from here on in, every time Terrell Williams fights, there's going to be some controversy there. Given what happened, because he was the guy who fought Richard Colon at the Eagle Bank Arena at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, back in 2015, and Colon's in a better way, but still not. It will never be where he once was, and so a lot of people have really criticized Terrell Williams in this fight. This bout between he and Grayton was shown streamed live on Facebook on Fight Night Live, and Mark Abrams and his crew and Mark Ferraro did an outstanding job on that. I want to say that, but people were saying free Pritchard Colon and Terrell Williams is a monster and he shouldn't be fighting and all, and that's you hate to say it's neither here nor there, but we passed that, unfortunately. Hopefully we will not forget Pritchard Colon, and we'd like to see him doing better, and he is doing a little better, and that's great to see. But at the same token, Terrell Williams had to do something about his career. This is only the second bout he's had since that bout against Pitcher Cologne, and he came in there against David Grayton and fought really well. He really did, and really David Grayton dug a hole for himself in the bout, and he was knocked down twice in the first and in the second, once in the first, once in the second round. Now Grayton came back and had a quality third round, but Williams really took over in the bout in the middle rounds, and he would score another knockdown in the sixth round. But as the bout reached the final stages, Grayton tried to throw pressure and throw power shots. Williams did start to kind of took her out a little bit. He started getting tired, but Williams had piled up enough points, I should say, early to win the bout, and Grayton had too much to overcome in the bout. And Grayton ended up losing by scores of 97-92, 98-89, and 99-90. Now, unfortunately for Grayton, this is his second loss in a row. He lost to Victor Cruz. I think it was Victor Cruz who beat him a while back. He's now down to 15-3-1, 11 KOs, and he's in a division that is really going places, doing a great job in the super welterweight, junior welterweight division. Actually, I'm sorry, he's in the welterweight division, and what makes it even worse, really, because you got Terrence Crawford there, and so it's going to be tough going forward. I know he's not out of the woods yet, but he needs some wins, and if that means coming back home to DC area, to the Beltway area, to get some fights and get his record back up so he can get some of those big bouts again, who knows? He did not quit in this bout. I will say that. He gave it his best down the stretch, and he really did fight well down the stretch, but it wasn't enough. And Grayton, again, is 15-3-1, 11 KOs. Williams is undefeated still. He's 17-0, 13 KOs. So tough loss for David Grayton. Now, the other two Beltway boxers, all welterweights, as a matter of fact, all from D.C., as a matter of fact, did very, very well. The next big thing he's called now, that's Keyshawn Williams. He looked very impressive in a 4-round unanimous decision victory over Fahad the Puncher Fatullah of Salt Lake City, Utah, by way of Azerbaijan. Williams would use a lot of jabs in this bout, and everybody was very impressed with the jab work that Williams used in this contest. And he would win the contest by shutout, 40-36 across the board. Williams raises his record now to 3-0-1, 1 KO, but Fatullah falls to 1-2. And of course, I was very impressed with Keyshawn Williams in the amateurs. Saw him fighting the Golden Gloves, and in 1 year, he was the outstanding boxer of the Washington Golden Gloves. And the kid can fight. There's no question about that. And so look for good things for him going down the road. But great win for Keyshawn Williams, now known as the next big thing. And also, Shingiskan Tazabai out of D.C., out of Headbangers Gym. He won by 4-round unanimous decision over late sub Justin King Johnson, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, Tazabai had a couple of boxers fall out on this bout before Justin Johnson came in. And he was coming close to losing a point for hitting Johnson behind the head, speaking of which. And, it was tough. Tazabai had to maintain his composure during the course of the bout. He was able to do that and was able to win by scores of 39-37 and 40-36 twice to raise the record to 7-0, 2 KOs, and Johnson's now 6-18-6. Johnson out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So it was a tough bout for Tazabai, and he has not had it easy. I mean, he's undefeated, but he's had some bouts where he's had to struggle a little bit. He's had to really kind of get things going in the contest. And that wasn't always easy, but he always managed to get a win out of it. So his determination is very strong. No question about that. So Shingiskan Tazabai with the win. Once again, he's 7-0, 2 KO. So that's the card in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the 2300 Arena. Now, let's turn our attention to the two cards that will take place on Saturday, September 22nd, in Springfield, Virginia, and in Bowie, Maryland. We're going to talk about the Springfield card first. And quite frankly, we don't have a whole lot to talk about. And again, what kind of concerns me about this card, this is going to be at the ABC Sports Complex, Springfield, Virginia. Now, some of the posters say Annandale Sports Center, same place, 6728. Now, the address they have on that poster, I believe, is wrong. They have 6728 Industrial Drive. I believe it's 6728 Commercial Drive in Springfield, Virginia. That's where I've always said it. But it is the same place, ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. I talked by email to a number of the people involved with this card. They're having issues with the card because they say that a lot of promoters who are trying to take their bouts. Now, again, this is an issue that I've come across a lot lately. And it's to me, I understand what they're saying, but it doesn't make a boatload of sense to me. Because and I could be totally wrong about this, Brian Dillon, if you're listening, please help me on this, just for example. But I have to think that if you have a bout that's signed and sealed, the only thing that can really make it unofficial as such would be the fact that it is, there's injury involved. Okay. Now, I will say this, though. One of the bouts, and I think it's the bout, I think it's one of the cards, you say, I think it's the card in Springfield. No, that's a card in Bowie. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. You gotta wonder. I mean, this is wild to me. So they're having issues with getting some of the cards together. Matter of fact, the main event bout, which is scheduled to feature Patrick Pat Harris, undefeated Hyattsville, Maryland super lightweight. He's 13-0, 8 KOs. He's scheduled to fight in a regional title bout, and as of right now, they have not announced an opponent for it. And I'm starting to wonder why that's the case. Okay, this is the bout for the what is called the American Boxing Federation Colonial Atlantic Super Lightweight title. Again, never heard of it, but is a regional title. And again, they don't have an opponent for this bout for Patrick Harris, so I'm a little concerned about that. Because if you don't have an official opponent for him, you're 2 days out as we record this, 2 days out before the bout, before the card, something's wrong to me. That's just my personal opinion. Now, by the way, Harris last fought on May 12th at the Michael & Son Sportsplex, Sterling, Virginia, and he scored a third-round TKO over Rhino Griffin. Looked good in that bout, no question about it. Now, promoters say that there are a total of 4 Beltway boxers that are slated for this card. I can't confirm that. I can confirm that Edgar Tiger Torres, who is scheduled to be on this card out of Springfield, Virginia, out of the ABC Sports gym, that's where he trains, he was scheduled to be on the card. He's injured. He will not be on the card. The only other local boxer that I can talk about, and I don't know who he's fighting, is a guy named Quasi Horton. He's a heavyweight from Waldorf, Maryland, out of the Last Round Boxing Gym in Waldorf, my buddy Dean O'Neill's gym. And tell you the truth, I never heard of him. I checked to see if I had talked about him or wrote about him on the Boxing on Beltway blog, and no name came up. So I have no idea who he is. Don't know how long he's been boxing. Don't know how long, when he came home from MMA. I have nothing to say really about Quasi Horton. So, again, that's tough. And again, you only have 4 Beltway boxers. I have an issue with that, too, because you have 4 Beltway boxers, and I'm guessing that at least 3 of them are people that local fans have not heard of yet, unless they fought in the amateurs. And they may have. I don't know. Again, he hadn't told it. The promoters have not told me about this, so I have a little issue with that. No question. Now, the rest of the card features boxers, and this is the good thing about this card, features boxers that have appeared on national television, primarily on Showbox. A couple boxers here I recognize right away, and that was Anthony Juice Young, welterweight out of Atlantic City, New Jersey, and the Iron Magic Alvin Maval Jr., he's a light heavyweight out of Catskill, New York. Now, Juice Young is going to be on the card in an 8-round contest against Donald Bulldog Ward of West Memphis, Arkansas. Young is 18-2, 6 KOs. He did fight on Showbox. He hasn't fought since August of 2017 when he won a 6-round unanimous decision over Carlos Winston Velasquez. That was in Atlantic City. Now, Anthony Young has been to this area before. He fought at the ABC Sports Complex in March of 2014, scored a second-round TKO over Reggie Nash, the veteran there. Now, Ward is 10-7 and 1-4 KOs. He comes off an 8-round unanimous decision over Charles Holyfield. He's out of, I don't know where he's from, actually. But the fight took place on July 21st in Memphis, Tennessee. And the win earned Ward the vacant ABF, American Boxing Federation, USA Mid-American welterweight title. Don't know that belt will be on the line, but he does hold that. So Ward comes in with some credentials, and we'll see how that bout takes place. That's about scheduled for 8 rounds. Now, Alvin Ramal Jr., he is taking on the Hawaiian Nightmare, Rocky Smith. He lives now in Muskegon, Michigan, but he was originally from Honolulu, Hawaii. Ramal is 15-1-1, 12 KOs. He's looking to bounce back from his first pro loss, a 8-round unanimous decision to an 8-round unanimous decision to Charles Foster on May 11th in Philadelphia. Smith is 13-7 with 11 KOs, but he's only fought once since 2006. And he lost the 6-round unanimous decision in that bout to Taylor Gray Durer on July 13th in Detroit, Michigan. And he's lost 5 in a row. So this will be interesting to see what happens with that bout. And the only other bout we can talk about on this card that seems to be set is a 4-round bout between Bronx, New York super welterweight Abner Bam Bam Guadalupe and Jason Kelly of Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Guadalupe won 0-1. He won his very first pro contest in his last outing, won a 4-round unanimous decision over David Ricardo Perez, February 10th in New Cumberland, West Virginia. Kelly, meanwhile, is 2-5-1. He broke a 2-bout losing streak with a 4-round majority decision win over Joe Elliott on July 14th in Belleville, Canada. Now, there are bouts scheduled to be added to this card, but again, they're having difficulties putting stuff together, and they're blaming other promoters from around the country who may be stealing their boxers. So, again, I don't know what's going on with that card coming up. That's Saturday, September 22nd at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. So, our best wishes to them, of course. Now, as far as the second bout on this, the other card on this day, September 22nd, that'll be at the A.C. Jordan Arena on the campus of Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland. And this is the Shabazz Brothers Real Deal Boxing Promotions card. Now, I've heard that Real Deal Boxing Promotions doesn't have a whole lot to do with this. It's a little weird as far as that relationship. I heard of Evander Holyfield, who runs Real Deal Boxing Promotions, will not be in attendance. That could be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. But I've heard he won't be in attendance. But they do have a boxer on the card. And that's where this main event is going to take place. And that's the 2016 Bowie State graduate, resident of Bowie, Maryland. That's Greg the Sharpshooter Outlaw. He is slated to headline this card. He is 6-0, 2 KOs. He'll be in a scheduled 6-round bout against Rashad Boger of Newark, New Jersey. Now, as we said, Outlaw is a Real Deal Promotion signee. He comes off a bout on June 8th, scoring a 2nd-round TKO over Dan Murray in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Boger is 4-8-1, 2 KOs. He'll try to break a 4-bout losing streak, including a 6-round unanimous decision loss to John Bowser on September 8th in Atlantic City. So both boxers fighting in Atlantic City. I believe 2 different locations, but they both fought in Atlantic City in their last bout. So Greg Outlaw has been a very good prospect as of late, and has really started picking things up as a boxer. So we're interested to see what goes on with this bout. But he's scheduled to be the headliner on this card. Outlaw 6-0, 2 KOs against Rashad Boger of Newark, New Jersey. The co-feature being an 8-round all Baltimore, Maryland light heavyweight affair. We talked about this one last week. Travis Severe Reeves taking on Devin Bite Butcher. Now Reeves, as we said, 15-3-2, 7 KOs. He looks to bounce back from a 12th round TKO loss to Kader Murat on March 24th in Germany. Now the bout was a loss that broke a 12-bout winning streak. I mean, Travis Reeves over the last few years has been on a roll. Of course, we named him one of our 3 Beltway boxing prospects of the year in 2016, I should say. He had scored a knockout of the year in 2017. So he's had a big couple of years, and we'll see what happens with Travis Reeves. He comes back against Devin Butcher, who's 6-2, 3 KOs. He comes back after losing a 6-round unanimous decision to Aidos Yabasanuli. That was in June of 2017 at the Burns Arena in Baltimore. And again, Butcher kind of up and down. He has been up and down a little bit. Of course, he had that loss to Tennille Gorko a couple of years ago. And that'll be... I have issues with the bout, as I talked about last week. I do have issues with it because I don't believe it should be not for anything. Okay, it should be for something. And I do have a problem with it not being for anything. And so apart from that, we'll see what happens. But it's all Baltimore affair now when Travis Reeves taking on Devin Butcher. Meanwhile, another 8-round contest is slated to feature returning middleweight Alante Slides of Fox Forge Mill, Maryland. Fox is 23-1-1, 11 KOs. He returns to action after suffering a shoulder injury in his October 21st 12-round unanimous decision loss to Demetrius Andrade. That was at the Turning Stone Casino in Verona, New York. Now, Fox fought that entire bout with a separated shoulder. He's healthy, but they are waiting way too long to get an opponent for Alantez Fox. I'd be shocked if they get, number one, if they get an opponent of any kind of stature for him, and number two, whether or not Alantez Fox competes on this card at all will be a big, major shock to me. We're 48 hours outside the card, and they don't have an opponent for him yet. I have a problem with that. I really do. So that could be an issue coming up on Saturday. So we'll see what happens. But right now, no opponent for Alantez Fox. That's an issue. Meanwhile, also on the card, the Dark Menace Tierra Brown, the featherweight out of Bladensburg, Maryland. She'll make her DeBella Entertainment Promotions debut on this card in a 4-round bout against a pretty tough young lady in Jasmine Clarkson out of Cedar Hill, Texas. Brown is 5-0, 3 KOs, coming off a 5th-round TKO victory. Looked great against Brittany Cruz on June 30th. That was at the Sphinx Club in D.C. Now, Clarkson is 4-12. She is going to try to break a 5-bout losing streak. She lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Elvina White on August 8th in Hollywood, California. Now, I remember one time when Clarkson fought Jennifer Salinas back in June of 2015 at Martin's West in Woodlawn, Maryland. I did not put the two together, that Samuel Clarkson and Jasmine Clarkson are brother and sister. I did not know that. Samuel Clarkson is, of course, the light heavyweight contender. We knocked out Jerry Odom a few years ago, and last time we saw him was at about in April of 2017 when he lost to Dimitri Bivol in the Showbox card at the MGM National Harbor. But I did not put the two together when Jasmine Clarkson fought Jennifer Salinas. Now, Clarkson was also scheduled to take on Tyra Douglas at one point, but apparently Clarkson got hurt at that particular time, so she didn't get a chance to take on that. So she takes on Tierra Brown. That could be an interesting bout. Again, Clarkson can be tough, but Tierra Brown wants to make a great impression in her DeBella Entertainment debut. So we'll see what happens on that bout. That bout's scheduled 4 rounds. Tierra Brown taking on Jasmine Clarkson. Also in the card, Landover, Maryland lightweight Tariq IGB Irby. He'll be in a 4-round contest against Latore War Machine Woodbury of Roanoke, Virginia. Irby is 4-0, 2 KOs. I know he has a different record as far as fight facts because of his time in the World Series of Boxing. But he hasn't fought since August of 2017 when he scored a first round knockout, against Anthony Alston in D.C. That was at the Howard Theater, as a matter of fact. And Woodbury is 2-7-2. He looks bounced back from a 4-round majority decision to Rosalindo Morales on September 2nd in New Cumberland, West Virginia. So those are the bouts we know are taking place. Then we also bout scheduled again for Alantez Fox. Also, Musin Kason has a bout. He's a 4-rounder on his card, and that's coming up 4 rounds against Donnell Daniels. His name is. He's I'm not sure where he's from though. But Musin Kason's 2-0. He last fought on the card at Martin's West in Woodlawn, Maryland, back in June. Also scheduled to be on the card, the returning featherweight Jordan Short Dog White. He is 4-1, 3 KOs, and he's been out for a little bit of time. Again, no word on his opponent. And a debuting middleweight by the name of Mark Duncan, who I believe is out of Baltimore, but I'm not 100% sure. He'll make his pro debut on this card as well. Now, they're having a public weigh-in for this card, and this weigh-in actually takes place, we record this tomorrow, Friday, September 21st. It'll be at the McKeldin Gymnasium on the campus of Bowie State University, which is, I don't believe, the same place as the AC Jordan Arena. It's probably a different place where they practice. And it is on the campus. The campus is located at 14,000 Jericho Park Road in Bowie, Maryland. The weigh-in is free, open to the public, and begins at 4 p.m. So once again, that's the weigh-in for this card on Friday, September 21st at Theodore McKeldin Gymnasium. And that'll be on the campus at 14,000 Jericho Park Road in Bowie, Maryland, and scheduled to get on the way at 4 p.m. And we are scheduled to bring you live coverage of this card. This is why I talked about the difference between our podcast in our podcast network. Spreaker will cover the card live from Bowie State University. I believe it'll be on the way at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't know, but just please watch the space on Spreaker to find out when we're on the air. I'll try to get you on Facebook as well as tell you when we're going to be airing the broadcast. So once again, we'll be on the air from the AC Jordan Arena on the campus of Bowie State University for the Shabazz Brothers and Real Deal Boxing Promotions card. So make sure you join us for that as well. Now, we talked about Virginia with their card coming up. And of course, they have some different venues they're using now at the Michael & Sons Sportsplex in Sterling, Virginia, the Silver Eagle Gun Arena in Ashburn, Virginia. And of course, Maryland now has the MGM National Harbor as their jewel. MGM National Harbor in Oxon Hill, Maryland. Of course, still using Rosecroft Raceway, where we'll be next Saturday, for the Cy Nation boxing card. We'll talk more about that next week. But D.C. has been stagnant since 2016. Remember in 2016, they had 4 cards that they held at the D.C. Armory. 4 different networks carried the card. You had BET, HBO, Showtime, and Bounce. And then since then, it's been very stagnant for the last year and a half. That may change. Saturday, September 22nd is going to be a big day in more ways than one. Because Saturday, September 22nd, unfortunately, I cannot make this, but they're going to cut the ribbon on the newest arena in D.C. It is called the Entertainment and Sports Arena. It's located in the Congress Heights section of Southeast Washington, D.C. And for those who live in the area, it's where the St. Elizabeth Mental Hospital once stood. And it is going to be an all-purpose sports venue. It is already going to be the new home for the Washington Mystics. Now, during the Washington Mystics playoff run, which they ended up losing to Seattle, the Mystics had to play their games all around the city and all around the area, really, because the Capital One Arena was under some construction. So they played their semifinal games at the Smith Center, which is on the campus of George Washington University, and played their lone final game, the game where they ended up being swept in the finals, at the Eagle Bank Arena at George Mason University. Well, you have to worry about that now, because the Mystics will play their home games at the Entertainment and Sports Arena. It'll also be the home for the G League team of the Washington Wizards. G League used to be called the D League, but the G League is now being sponsored by Gatorade, so now called the G League. And the G League team for the Wizards is called the Capital City Go-Go. And they will play their home games at the Entertainment and Sports Arena. The Wizards will practice there, but of course continue to play their home games at Capital One Arena. Now, this past weekend, I had a chance to do public address announcing for a high school football tripleheader that took place at RFK Stadium. And, of course, the ESA is run by Events DC, which is our convention and sports authority here in DC. And they ran ads all throughout the day for the Entertainment Sports Arena, and I had to read copy for it myself. And their ad truly, in fact, not only their ad, but the ad for Events DC itself, truly featured boxing in their advertisement. It was definitely a prominent figure in the advertisement for the Entertainment Sports Arena, which stands to reason that boxing will be a big part of this going forward. And promoters can step up and put together some cards. The cards themselves will be affordable as far as being able to use the venue. Then we should be in good shape coming forward in D.C. for some Beltway boxing in the city once again. Now, according to what I've heard, it is right near the Congress Heights metro station in Southeast D.C. So you can get there by metro. I don't know what the parking is like. I haven't been over there. So I don't know what kind of parking they have there. But the metro is there. It's about 3 minutes away from what I've heard. So it seems like a good location. Everybody seems to be very excited about it. There's word, and again, it's just word, that Dusty Harrison, who is from Southeast D.C., will christen that new building as far as the boxing is concerned. Now, they're having an event Saturday. It's supposed to be a basketball tournament featuring members of the Goodman League against teams around the country. Or East Coast, actually, really. So that's going to be the first event that's going to take place in there. But boxing, according to their promotion and according to their advertisements, will play a prominent role in the use of the ESA. So, I would assume it's a nice looking building, should be a good building. And again, this is a situation where the landscape of boxing, just much like it did back in April 2017 when we started using the MGM National Harbor Casino, the landscape of boxing in the Beltway could change once again. So we hope that can be the situation. Now, I mentioned Dusty Harrison. I want to close with this going forward. I want to send our prayers and best wishes to truly one of the nicest people that I've known in and around the Beltway as far as the boxing scene is concerned, or in life in general, really, that I've ever known. Buddy Harrison. I want to send best prayers and best wishes to him. He is undergoing chemotherapy for prostate cancer. I could spend a good hour on this podcast talking about Buddy Harrison's story. He's becoming very open about it. He's been open about it for a long time, but he's becoming more and more open about his story himself. Of course, for those who don't know, Buddy Harrison has run Old School Boxing Gym, which is now located at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland, for a number of years. And, of course, he's the father of Dusty Harrison. And many of you now know the story that Buddy was a felon. He served, I believe, 10 years in jail for armed robbery. And once he got out, he has really, truly changed his life completely around. He'll talk to you about that. He and I have talked about it many occasions. And he has done so much. I mean, for the kids that train in Old School Boxing, a lot of times he doesn't charge any money. He has been a fixture in the area, wherever Old School has been. It's been in different locations around the city. Every now and then it falters, and he's got to move it elsewhere. But he does so much, and he also has done so much for the community. He regularly gives away shoes and clothing and food to people who are not doing well, who are homeless and don't know where the next meal is coming from. But he's there. And when he told me that he had prostate cancer, I really had a real tough time with it because you don't want bad things to happen to really great people. And Buddy Harrison is really great people. There's no question about that. There was a time when he and Dusty did not get along, and he just prayed that Dusty would see what was going on, and he'd come back, and he has come back, and they're back together again. It's so wonderful. But, he's one of the guys I truly, truly love in this business and in life in general, because he is such a great heart. And, he's well liked around the area. He really is. He's a great person. And we just want to see him beat this cancer here. So our best wishes and our thoughts and prayers to Buddy Harrison as he goes through the chemotherapy to beat this cancer. No question about that. So I wish him the very, very best. No question about that. Well, that will do it for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Once again, we're brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. Go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. Get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. Also by DeborahSpears.com. Great jewelry. Great diet tips on Deborah, Debra Spears.com. And don't forget, you can purchase items on BestBuy.com through the Boxing on Beltway Boxing on Beltway blog, boxingonbeltway.blogspot.com. Click on the Best Buy logo on the side of the page, and we'll get a little bit from your purchase as well, so you can help support the Boxing on Beltway blog. And don't forget, we're on Spreaker.com live, iHeartRadio.com, TuneIn, Stitcher, and the Google Podcast app. And also, you can always find me at Digital25. Thanks for joining, everybody. Always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care.